In the unforgiving landscape of prehistoric Earth, where survival was a daily struggle against nature's cruelest whims, Kira emerged as a testament to the indomitable human spirit. Her lithe form, honed by years of hunting and gathering, moved with a primal grace through the dense undergrowth of the primeval forest. Her dark eyes, ever watchful, scanned the horizon for both prey and predator alike. Kira's tribe, the Shadow Claws, had long been the dominant force in the region. Their prowess in hunting and their fierce warriors had kept rival tribes at bay for generations. But complacency had set in, and with it, vulnerability. The attack came at dawn. The rival tribe, the Bloodfangs, descended upon the Shadowclaw camp like a pack of rabid wolves. Their leader, a hulking brute named Gorn, led the charge. His face, a mass of scar tissue and tribal markings, contorted with savage glee as he swung his stone axe, cleaving through flesh and bone with terrifying ease. Kira awoke to the screams of her tribe mates. The acrid smell of smoke filled her nostrils as she scrambled from her sleeping furs. Outside her shelter, chaos reigned. Bodies littered the ground, their blood soaking into the earth. Children wailed as they were torn from their mothers' arms. The air was thick with the meaty thud of stone weapons meeting flesh and the sickening crack of shattering bones. "Run, Kira!" her father shouted, his voice barely audible over the din of battle. She watched in horror as a Bloodfang warrior's spear pierced his chest, the point erupting from his back in a spray of crimson. Paralyzed by fear and grief, Kira stood rooted to the spot. A rough hand grabbed her arm, yanking her back to reality. It was Thorn, her childhood friend and hunting partner. "We have to go," he hissed, his eyes wild with panic. Together, they fled into the forest, the sounds of slaughter fading behind them. For days they ran, pausing only to catch their breath or snatch a few moments of fitful sleep. But the Bloodfangs were relentless in their pursuit. On the 5th day, as they crouched by a stream to drink, an arrow whistled through the air, striking Thorn in the throat. He fell, gurgling and clutching at the shaft protruding from his neck. Kira watched, helpless, as the light faded from his eyes. "I'm sorry," she whispered, closing his unseeing eyes before sprinting away, the sound of her pursuers growing ever closer. Alone now, Kira pushed deeper into unknown territory. The forest grew denser, the trees taller and more ancient. Strange cries echoed in the gloom, sending shivers down her spine. But she pressed on, driven by an instinct older than humanity itself, the will to survive. Days blurred into weeks as Kira learned to navigate this new world. She fashioned crude weapons from stone and wood, set snares for small game, and foraged for edible plants. Each small victory in her battle for survival stoked the embers of her rage. The faces of her fallen tribe haunted her dreams, their silent screams demanding vengeance. As the seasons changed, so too did Kira. Her body, once soft from the relative comfort of tribal life, became hard and wiry. Her hair grew long and matted, adorned with feathers and bones from her kills. Her eyes, once warm and filled with laughter, now held a feral gleam that would have given even the fiercest predator pause. Kira's thoughts grew darker with each passing day. "They took everything from me," she muttered to herself as she sharpened a stone blade. "I'll take everything from them. I'll bathe in their blood and gnaw on their bones." She began to hunt larger prey, taking down deer and boar with brutal efficiency. But it wasn't enough. She needed to test herself against a worthier opponent. When she encountered a massive cave bear, she didn't run. Instead, she faced it head-on, armed only with her stone knife and a sharpened stick. The battle was savage and bloody. The bear's claws raked across Kira's chest, leaving deep furrows that would scar into a permanent reminder of her transformation. But Kira fought with a ferocity that shocked even her. She plunged her knife into the bear's eye, twisting it with a snarl of triumph as the beast roared in agony. As it reared up, she drove her spear into its throat, riding its massive body to the ground as it thrashed in its death throes. Standing over her fallen foe, covered in blood, both hers and the bear's, Kira felt a rush of primal joy. She threw back her head and let out a howl that echoed through the forest, a chilling sound that was neither fully human nor entirely animal. From that day forward, Kira became a legend in the prehistoric world. Tribes whispered of a demon that stalked the forests, a creature that was neither human nor beast. They spoke of entire hunting parties found slaughtered, their bodies displayed in grotesque tableaus that defied explanation. But Kira hadn't forgotten her true purpose. Every life she took, every drop of blood she spilled, was merely practice for her ultimate goal, the destruction of the Bloodfangs. As the years passed, Kira's legend grew, and with it, her confidence. She began to move back towards her old hunting grounds, leaving a trail of carnage in her wake. Rival tribes fled at the mere whisper of her approach, terrified of the feral woman who seemed more monster than human. Finally, after 5 long years, Kira found herself on the outskirts of Bloodfang territory. She crouched in the underbrush, observing their camp. Her lips curled into a feral grin as she recognized Gorn, the chieftain who had led the attack on her people. He had grown older, but no less fierce. His massive frame still rippled with muscle, and his face still bore the scars of countless battles. Kira's mind raced with possibilities. She could strike now, under cover of darkness, and slit Gorn's throat while he slept. But no, that would be too quick, too merciful. She wanted him to know fear, to experience the terror he had inflicted on her people. For days, Kira stalked the outskirts of the Bloodfang camp, picking off hunters and gatherers who strayed too far. She left their mutilated bodies as warnings, each kill more gruesome than the last. Panic began to spread through the tribe like a virus. Gorn raged against this unseen enemy, ordering more patrols and demanding sacrifices to appease whatever dark god had turned against them. But nothing could stop Kira's relentless assault. One night, as the Bloodfangs huddled around their fires, jumping at every shadow, Kira made her move. She had coated her body in mud and leaves, making herself nearly invisible in the darkness. Moving with inhuman stealth, she crept into the heart of the camp. Her first victim was a young warrior on guard duty. Kira's hand clamped over his mouth as her stone knife found his jugular. She lowered his body silently to the ground, her eyes already seeking her next target. One by one, Kira moved through the camp, leaving a trail of silent death in her wake. Those who woke to the sight of her blood-soaked form died with screams frozen in their throats. By the time the alarm was raised, half the tribe lay dead. Chaos erupted as the surviving Bloodfangs scrambled for weapons, unsure of where the attack was coming from or how many assailants they faced. In the center of the camp, Gorn bellowed orders, trying to rally his warriors, but his voice caught in his throat as a blood-curdling shriek split the air. Kira emerged from the shadows, her eyes gleaming with madness, her body adorned with the bones and teeth of her victims. "Remember me?" Kira snarled, her voice rough from years of disuse. Recognition dawned in Gorn's eyes, quickly followed by fear. You're dead," he stammered, taking an involuntary step back. "I was," Kira agreed, advancing on him with predatory grace. "But hatred is a powerful thing. It can bring even the dead back to life." Gorn roared, swinging his massive stone axe in a deadly arc. But Kira was no longer the frightened girl he had chased from her burning village. She ducked under the blow with ease, her stone knife finding the soft flesh of Gorn's belly. The chieftain howled in pain and rage, lashing out with his free hand and catching Kira across the face. The blow sent her sprawling, but she rolled with it, coming up in a crouch with a feral grin on her blood-smeared face. "Is that the best you can do, old man?" she taunted, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Gorn charged, his axe held high, but his attack was fueled by desperation rather than skill. Kira sidestepped at the last moment, her knife finding Gorn's hamstring. The big man went down with a roar of agony. Kira circled her fallen foe, savoring the moment. "Do you remember the day you attacked my village?" she asked, her voice eerily calm. "Do you remember the screams of the children as you slaughtered their parents?" Gorn's eyes widened with genuine fear. "Please," he begged, all pretense of bravery gone. "I'll give you anything. Gold, women, power, just spare me." Kira laughed, a chilling sound devoid of any human warmth. "I don't want your trinkets or your women," she said. "I want your pain. I want your fear. I want your life." With that, she fell upon Gorn with inhuman savagery. Her stone knife rose and fell, carving runes of vengeance into his flesh. Gorn's screams echoed through the night, a symphony of agony that Kira conducted with cruel precision. When it was over, Kira stood over Gorn's mutilated corpse, her chest heaving. She turned to face the remaining Bloodfangs, who had watched the brutal display in horrified silence. "Your chief is dead," Kira announced, her voice ringing with authority. "I claim leadership by right of combat. Any who challenge me will share his fate." A stunned silence fell over the camp. Then, one by one, the surviving Bloodfangs fell to their knees, bowing before their new leader. Kira surveyed her new subjects, feeling a rush of power unlike anything she had ever experienced. She had done it. She had avenged her people and claimed the very tribe that had destroyed them. But as the adrenaline of battle faded, a cold realization settled in Kira's gut. In her quest for vengeance, she had become something far worse than those she had sought to punish. The feral gleam in her eyes, the blood caked under her nails, the savage joy she had taken in Gorn's suffering, all of it pointed to a terrible truth. "What have I become?" Kira whispered to herself, looking down at her blood-soaked hands. But it was too late for such questions. The primal force she had unleashed could not be contained. As the first rays of dawn broke over the horizon, Kira threw back her head and let out a bone-chilling howl. It was a sound of triumph, of rage, of loss, and of a humanity that had been left behind in the unforgiving crucible of survival and revenge. The Bloodfangs, now her Bloodfangs, took up the cry. And as their voices echoed through the primeval forest, a new legend was born, one that would be whispered around campfires for generations to come. The legend of Kira, the woman who became a monster to defeat monsters, and in doing so, lost the very thing she had fought so hard to avenge, her humanity.